Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Travis, and if you're new around here, I like talking about investing or anything to do with building wealth. If you want to hear more about topics like these, make sure to subscribe. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Warren Buffett's top public holdings, meaning these are companies that you can also buy and hold just like Warren Buffett. Just to give you an idea of how insanely successful Warren Buffett has been, Warren Buffett has averaged a 17.5% return since 1985. In the exact same time period, the average overall market return has been around 10.5%. On surface level, that may not sound that much more impressive, but to give you an idea of how good that really is, if you had invested $10,000 in Berkshire Hathaway in 1985, you would now have $2.4 million. But if you had simply invested that same amount into the S&P 500, you would have ended up with around $227,000. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing to scoff at, but clearly 17% is significantly better. And to make him even more impressive, if you take things back all the way to 1965, he's had an average return of 20.5%. And to make things even more impressive, you're talking about somebody who's managing $817 billion worth of assets. It's significantly more difficult to have a larger return on a large amount of assets than it is on a smaller amount of assets. And on top of that, we're not only talking about one of the greatest investors that has ever lived, but we're also talking about somebody who might have saved the United States from another Great Depression during the 2008 financial crisis. If you want to learn a little bit more about what I just said, make sure to check out the documentary that I linked below. So, what are some of the companies that Warren Buffett owns? Well, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway owns approximately 45 different public companies. So the way that I'm going to review this portfolio is I'm going to go in depth into his top 5 holdings, and I'm going to quickly mention the notable holdings outside of his top 5. So, what does Warren Buffett own? Warren Buffett's largest holding by far is the world's largest company, Apple. This company that has a cult-like following amongst hipsters everywhere makes up approximately 48% of his portfolio. Keep in mind, part of the reason that it makes up such a large portion of his portfolio is because the price of that stock has skyrocketed over the last few months. Warren Buffett loves this company because of the Apple ecosystem. Once you own an Apple product like the iPhone, it's very difficult to leave. Apple products work seamlessly with each other, making it very enticing to buy an additional Apple product. Warren Buffett even described the iPhone as some of the most valuable real estate in the world.
You've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of people with loads of buying power and able to do business or learn information or whatever it may be. It's part of their habit of living. I mean, they spend hours a day and it does all kinds of things for them. So that real estate is worth a fortune. That is some of the most valuable real estate in the world.
What he's implying here is that basically there are millions of people that practically live on this device. Not only are people willing to pay practically anything for this device, but also Apple uses it to make money in other ways outside of what you're paying for the iPhone. There are many examples of this, but the best example is the App Store. People being so dependent on the iPhone is why Apple is able to achieve profit margins of 64% on the device. That is literally insane. Also, Warren Buffett is a huge fan of this company and has described it as a financial fortress. As of today, Apple has nearly $200 billion sitting around in cash. Apple is one of the only companies in the world that could do something like this. Keep in mind, like every stock on this list, Warren bought Apple at a bargain price. After doing some basic math to take into account the stock split,
according to my calculations.
Jesus Christ, Mark, you're blind. Warren Buffett bought an average price per share of $35.23. As of today, Apple is worth $118 per share. The next holding in Warren Buffett's portfolio is Bank of America, and it makes up approximately 11% of his portfolio. I'm going to go over what this is very quickly just because I'm assuming that most of you understand generally what a bank does. This is an American multinational investment bank and financial services holding company that primarily revolves around commercial banking, wealth management, and investment banking. Warren started buying this bank back in 2011 whenever he practically saved the bank with a $5 billion investment. The bank was struggling with a bunch of different issues at the time, including the subprime mortgage situation in 2008. Since 2011, he basically hasn't stopped buying this company. Just recently, in August of 2020, he bought another $2 billion worth of the company. During the recent illness, he was buying a lot of bank stocks only because he thought that they had really good value compared to other options in the market. In August, he was buying at an average price per share of $24.65. Right now, the stock is priced at around $24.31 per share, meaning this is a stock that you can buy right now, and you can buy it at a better price than Warren Buffett bought it at. The next stock on this list is Coca-Cola, and it makes up approximately 9% of his portfolio. This company is an American multinational beverage corporation that is active in the manufacturing, distribution, and marketing of its beverages. Warren Buffett started buying this company around 1988. This was right after the crash of 1987, also known as Black Monday. Due to this, the stock had become very cheap due to massive sell-offs. Buffett had determined this was a very strong company with a very strong brand that could beat out its competition. And of course, like he always does, he bought it at an amazing price. His investment into Coca-Cola is arguably one of the greatest investments that he's ever made in his life. As of 2019, he's made 1,750% off of the stock and gets paid $640 million in dividends each year. To put that in perspective, his original investment was only $1.8 billion. Here's a clip of Warren Buffett talking about this company.
I like wonderful brands. You got to take care of them, but if you take care of a great brand, you know, it's forever. We own 400 million shares of Coca-Cola stock, as you know. We've never sold a share, and I wouldn't think of selling a share.
By the way, here's a fun fact about Coca-Cola that really shows how strong of a brand it really is. In blind taste tests, actually people tend to prefer Pepsi, but in tests where people know which drink is which, most people choose Coca-Cola, meaning the power of the brand literally changed people's opinions on which drink tastes better. The fourth largest holding in Warren Buffett's portfolio is American Express, and it takes up approximately 6% of his portfolio. American Express is an American multinational financial services corporation that Warren started buying all the way back in 1964. This stock is a special one only because it was the investment that really changed Warren Buffett's views on investing. Before his purchase of American Express, Warren was famous for buying what he refers to as cigar butts. Basically, these were really bad companies that he could buy for absolutely amazing prices. Basically, he would buy out entire companies just so he could sell off all of its assets at a higher price. And he was basically doing this until he bought American Express in 1964. This purchase was the point at which he really started to evolve into a long-term investor. After this purchase, his new investing philosophy was really buying amazing companies for good prices. He knew if he started buying quality companies that they could provide good returns for the long term. With this company specifically, Warren Buffett is a huge fan of the American Express brand. He believes that they're known for great customer service and being there for their customers whenever they need it the most. He's spoken multiple times and actually directly to their leadership about how they need to nurture this brand. The next company in this portfolio is Kraft Heinz, and it makes up approximately 4% of his portfolio. This is an American food company formed by the merger of Kraft Foods and Heinz. It's the third largest food and beverage company in North America, and it's the fifth largest in the world. This stock has not been doing very well, basically since 2017. This purchase is considered one of the very few misses that Warren Buffett has made. That, along with his airline stocks, which by the way, I'm not completely convinced was a mistake yet. Warren Buffett has said in the past that this is still an amazing business, but he just simply paid too much for it. That the mistake wasn't the business, but the price that he bought it at.
Now, Kraft Heinz is a wonderful business, but you can pay too much for a wonderful business.
What that tells me is that maybe the price right now is a good price. I've not evaluated the company deeply myself, but it might be worth looking into. So those are the first 5. Out of the next 5, 3 of them are actually bank stocks. Moody Bank, US Bank, and Wells Fargo. The other 2 are Charter Communications and DaVita, which is a healthcare company. You'll notice that Warren Buffett's portfolio has a ton of bank stocks. Well, Warren Buffett is always talking about finding your circle of competence and then buying within that circle. What he means by this is find your niche that you really understand a lot about and then buy within that niche. For him, that's clearly the banking sector, and that's why he has so many bank stocks. He's consistently able to accurately determine what the intrinsic value of these bank stocks is, and then he's able to buy whenever these companies are on sale. Other notable companies outside of his top 10 include GM, Chase, Visa, Amazon, Costco, MasterCard, among many others. Keep in mind, this review does not include any of his privately held companies. These are companies that he owns that can't be bought on the New York Stock Exchange. Obviously, the reason that I'm skipping over these is because we as investors cannot take advantage of that information. The only way that we buy into these privately held companies is if we buy Berkshire Hathaway stock. So that's the review. If you want to look at the rest of his portfolio, I'm going to link the rest of his portfolio below in case you want to look at more detail. And before you click away, let me just clarify, do not just copy these investments. Make sure to do your own research and fully understand these investments before you buy in. And keep in mind, Warren Buffett doesn't buy these stocks just based on the fact that they're great businesses with great leadership. He also buys these companies whenever they're at a great price or have great value. The reason that I make videos like these is because I personally enjoy knowing what great investors like Warren Buffett are doing. And on top of that, it gives me ideas for investments in the future. Basically what I'm saying is videos like these aren't meant to be investing instructions. So thank you guys for watching. I really hope that I helped you learn something. Definitely subscribe to my channel. I'm still a small YouTuber, so every subscription makes a huge difference. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Well, let's go back to that key. Coca-Cola, keep it company. I think I'll move this just up a little bit. I like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. Boy, that is the real thing.